After auditing more than 150 brands, we've started seeing the exact same costly mistakes over and over again. And in this video, we're going to break down these costly mistakes and how you can get away from them. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and let's get straight into it. You talk to a lot of brands, there's always the point where the brands think we need more traffic. It's like, if we are not getting sales, let's just go for more traffic. Talk to me about that. What do you think they should be fixing instead of going for more traffic?
It's actually funny that you say that because we just went through something like this a couple of weeks ago. And the first thing that we like to show them is we'll take a look at conversion rates. So every category, doesn't matter if you're selling on Amazon, Walmart, Target, Kroger, you always have some average conversion rates. And if we see that a brand is very below that, we always tell the client, we can spend on ads if you want. We can take people to your listings. But the matter is you're just wasting your ad budget because the listing is not closing the deal. So some brands, they believe if I need to increase my sales, I need to get more people to go to my listing. But if your listing doesn't have the necessary information for people to be able to make an informed decision, then you can take as many people as you want to your listing. But the reality is the conversion rate is going to kill your brand. It's going to kill your profitability because it's probably going to leave you with a high ACOs and a pretty high TACOs. It's just going to eat up your profit margins.
Let's talk about a reality situation. You start managing a brand and you have several issues across the board to fix. How would you prioritize what to fix within the brand?
So every single brand is different. We would try to understand what are the pain points that this customer is experiencing on Amazon or any other retail media network and see what we can help. Then we'll take a deeper look into the catalog and the ad strategy. We would try to cut back on wasted ad spend. And if we do see that the listings, they have a very big problem, for example, they're not really conversion optimized, we're going to talk with this client and just put them in the following way. We want to cut back ad spend at least until we can fix your conversion rates.
Talk to me realistically, what kind of impact would you typically see within the first 30 to 60 days? What actually changes?
So I'm going to give you an example of two of my current clients that we've been doing a lot of listing optimization and a lot of ad strategy rework. So for one of these clients, when we got their account, they were down year over year in sales 40%. I actually met with them yesterday, and in just 2 months, we've taken that number down to minus 14%. So one thing that we've seen is that by launching listing optimizations, new images, A+ content, and just really try to reposition the product, highlight the unique selling points that they have and why the premium price that they have is worth it. We've seen a lifting conversion rate usually of about 5 to 10%. And then just by cleaning up media strategy, we're able to reduce ACOs by around 20 to 25% in that same time frame. And we've kept ad spend almost at the same level.
What's the most surprising thing you've ever found during a store audit that immediately explained to you, this is why this brand is not growing?
A lot of business owners will be fixated on a goal that they have and not look at what overall best practices are. For example, I've got this new product that I want to launch and to do really well. Now, that's not a bad goal to have, but they don't look at underlying problems that are stopping them from doing that. It's not focused to grow the brand, to grow brand presence, to get more market share. And that new product that's going to launch isn't going to do well on its own. That in itself needs its own brand strategy. There's nothing that's going to support this growth in terms of your brand strategy.
Some of the business you've talked to, have you ever had a situation where a business looked very successful on the outside, but once you got inside of the account, you quickly discovered some major issues? If so, talk to me about some of these major issues you discovered.
You see that they have some decent revenue or decent growth, but it could be just off the back end of them being already well known in the space, but then the setup in terms of they're not very profitable because they're advertising too much on their products. They haven't figured out the right pricing to be at on Amazon.
On the side of mistakes, talk to me about, is there any situation where you've seen a brand make a mistake, which may seem very small, but it ends up costing them a huge amount of revenue? Have you ever come across something like that in the auditing process?
It goes back to maybe the overfixation on certain things that It's just a bit unfair if you're not an expert in the place in the space where you haven't done this for several brands over and over again. Obviously, being an agency that's done this for on several e-commerce channels, we've got more or less an understanding. I wouldn't say a blueprint because everyone's process is tailored, but we know kind of what it takes to develop some tailored success. So that's why I say it's unfair for someone who steps in. They have good business understanding, but maybe not e-commerce growth marketing strategy. But then again, over fixating on something, trying to maybe throw more money at a certain problem that might have nothing to do with the underlying issue is usually a big mistake that I see, is where it's just like sometimes you need to let go of the reins and let someone who's maybe a bit more experienced handle it instead of trying to control it.
On the side of patterns, are there any patterns you have noticed that keep repeating between these brands and that just stop them from scaling successfully?
One of the biggest one is, especially for like smaller businesses and medium-sized businesses that kind of stay on the smaller end, is trying to do things a bit cheap on the cheaper side, outsourcing it to maybe teams that don't have the quality skills to scale, trying to do things yourself as someone who is flooded with responsibilities in growing the business and looking at strategic aspects to grow the business, as someone who's leading your team. The role should be more in a strategic and a leadership focus rather than going in and adjusting the advertising yourself or writing the copy yourself. If you can find people that are specialized in this area, that's really what's going to allow you to scale. Even if it costs you a bit of an investment to get premium services, if they know what they're doing and they're developing results that are going to deliver, then that's probably the route that's going to get you to your growth goals quicker.
Some of the times, and you know this, we talk to business owners and you can tell that there are certain blind spots they are either ignoring or don't just realize that these blind spots are evident in their business, but at the end of the day, it's stagnating their growth. Is there anyone that comes to mind right now that you think brands should be taking care of, taking note of?
I think a lot of CEOs and brand leaders aren't taking the next step to scale, is just not having the right team. But that, just thinking about that creates it makes me think about what are some kind of blind spots in the business. And I was just thinking about you, Ari, actually working with a lot of our clients on the email side. I think that's one of the bigger blind spots in e-commerce that people don't really think about. Could you maybe go through for us what are some of those kind of blind spots and what could people be missing out on?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we see with most of the clients right now is, so you have this machine that's working very well. You have a store, you spend money on ads to acquire a customer. About 80% of the people who will fall on your offers are not going to buy the very first time. They don't get any follow-up email. There's no chasing. And at the end of the day, let's assume that your upfront cost to acquire a customer was $50. So you've spent $50 to get a customer to your store who will end up not purchasing. If you're not trying to make use of that traffic at the back end, which is email marketing, it means you have to spend another $50 to acquire a customer. And if your conversion rate is around 20%, at the end of the day, you see how much it costs you and how less profitable it will be. So I would say the blind spot is businesses spending upfront to try and bring people to their stores, but not putting in place a solid email marketing strategy that can retarget these people. Something as simple as an email campaign every single week, just like we're doing with other clients, that could literally change the game for some businesses. So I think it's a blind spot that if e-commerce brands start to think about, and by the way, just the most recent video we talked about was email marketing campaigns. If businesses could start to think about that and how to build a strategy that retargets visitors, that would literally change the game and in turn create an extra stream of income. Myth number one, if the product is good, it will sell. What are your thoughts on this?
This is something that I hear a lot from a lot of Amazon sellers is, I've got a great product. I've got great reviews. This is just going to sell. We're going to make millions. A lot of times it's true. You've got a banger product. You've got something that's super innovative. That's very true. But you need a strategy behind it to make it work in the e-commerce world. Nowadays, the Amazon space especially is extremely rigorous. There's some big players out there. There's also cheap competitors that have crazy margins. It's an incredibly rigorous environment that's nothing like it used to be. And so you need to come in here with a proper strategy.
You started talking, Amazon is just about price and reviews. Why do you think this myth is wrong, and what actually works in the space?
It's a super underrated myth. I think a lot of people disregard that because there's kind of a price range which you expect to have products on Amazon, right? I mean, everyone is, they're on their phone on the couch and they're like, we need more plastic cups for the party that's coming up, or I need a new USB-C charger. There's kind of certain products that you'll think an Amazon product should be within this range. It's again false. If you have a product that's, we have clients with products that are over $700 and they sell well on Amazon because of the certain strategy that we take. To cover the reviews part, all successful launches that start with 0 reviews. So at the end of the day, it just really goes about the strategy that you're taking on Amazon.
So key point number 1, talk to me about time and resources. How does that stop them from being successful on Amazon?
A lot of times what happens is I will talk to someone and understand what are their bottlenecks in their account on Amazon, for example. They'll tell me everything. We'll do a full audit. We'll get the team on, develop a brand strategy. It is exactly what they need. If we're talking monetary wise, it always is, you got to spend money to make money. That's, everyone knows you got to invest in order to grow the business, because where you're at right now, this is how much you're making. This is how much you're spending to make this much. But if we dissect what you're doing wrong, what opportunities and the challenges are really opportunities to grow. Where are those? Where can we improve those margins so that that business takes off? Then that how much am I paying every month is really not going to be a problem anymore, because you're going to see that back in your bank account.
The second bottleneck that would always stop Amazon brands from being successful is trust issues. And we've talked about this a bit on the channel. Do you want to talk to me about the role that trust plays in this?
That's a very common thing. Like you said, talk to several people and they all have said, well, I'm not 100% sure about this because I've been burnt 1,000 times before. People will overpromise and underdeliver, and that's it. It's ugly business. But I don't blame anyone that feels that way. It's sad because it's the way it's the way of the business world. A lot of people are just in it for just, turning business, but it's not uncommon and it's a valid concern to have. I mean, we've had years of success with several clients, growing them to various different sizes on various different channels. And that's why this year we're like, we really want people to see from an outside perspective what it is like from the inside of growthscalers. At the end of the day, anyone can give a referral from a happy client. Anyone can give a testimonial from a happy client. Anyone can give a case study from a successful client. So these are all very biased things. So it is hard to kind of get over that trust. It's understandable. But one thing I would say to someone who is currently looking for an agency to choose is really do your due diligence on that end.
Let's talk about the next problem that stops brands from being successful, and I call it the DIY problem, the do-it-yourself problem. Talk to me how this affects success on Amazon.
That's a very common one as well. You come to a decision-making point and you're like, man, this looks really good, but do I have the investment for it? Am I ready to commit and make changes so that I can actually benefit from the business? At the end of the day, it's always an uncomfortable decision. You're stepping out of your comfort zone and you're going for something bigger than what you're used to. So it is going to be an uncomfortable decision. But some people are a bit more risk averse in these scenarios where everyone knows as a business owner, there is a level of risk aversion that you have that allows you to take decisions that are going to get you to the next level. And so people say, you know what? I'm not ready. I want to stay in my comfort zone. I want to do it on my own, or B, find someone cheaper, find someone offshore, find a freelancer to manage it for me. The problem is, and I'm not making this up. This is off experience of people telling me this, coming back 3, 6 months, 12 months later and saying, "You know what? I tried my route or I tried their route." And the truth is they ended up wasting 3, 6, 12 months worth of money and the opportunity. You figure it out the hard way. And then a year after that, once we've doubled their business, then that's the moment where they realize, should have started this a year ago.
Let's talk about the other set of people and why they are not successful on Amazon. The people who are waiting too long to level up their operations. Tell me about that.
That kind of goes back to the other question of like, I'm just gonna try this on my own, or I'm gonna do it this way, or I'm gonna get someone on Fiverr to do it, or da da da, and you kind of dance around in this decision making bubble where there's something called buying fatigue, where you look around and if it's not an urgent priority in your business, you're gonna say, you know what, this is just taking too much of my time. I'm gonna leave it for 3 months. And then 3 months comes around. Maybe you explore it again. It's just taking too much. I'm not ready to make the jump. 3 more months. Okay, let's look at those 6 months now. 6 months that your business could have grown in revenue, be 30% in the first month, 20% in the second month, 10% from there on out. You're looking at some significant growth that you could have had in that time, where all it would have costed you is a few minutes on meetings on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, interaction on that part of the channel, which you're already spending time. My business staying completely the same.
What do you think are the biggest changes on Amazon right now?
Honestly, the biggest one right now is how much Amazon is prioritizing listing quality and customer experience over everything else. It's not really about just the reviews anymore or how low your pricing is. It's actually Amazon putting more weight on image quality, like your images, your videos, A+ content, ads, and even how customers interact with your listing or your store.
But I wanted to ask you, Lei, where do you think that most of these established sellers are quietly losing money or momentum on Amazon without really realizing it?
Ads, for sure. That's the biggest one. A lot of sellers see money coming in and they think everything's fine. So everything's fine, I'm getting sales. But when we break it down, so we look at their listing, their store, their A cost is either way too high, their margins are shrinking, or half of their budget is going to bad keywords and low converting placements. Inventory is actually another big thing. So either they overstock and pay massive amount of storage fees, or they run out of stocks and lose ranking. So both actually hurt long-term growth.
What do you think most of the founders are missing? For example, a founder would be busy running ops, supply chain, and teams. But what do you think are the key opportunities or the risks that they miss on Amazon when they try not to be in the account day to day?
Amazon is constantly changing. It changes every day. So when founders or business owners aren't in the account regularly, small problems turn into bigger ones. And they either miss policy updates, suppressed listings, a lot of negative reviews, new competitors bidding on their brand keywords, and they also miss on growth opportunities. So new keyword trends, new ad formats, or chances to expand into newer categories. Amazon moves really, really fast. This is what I tell the business owners that I talk to on a daily basis. If you're not paying attention for even just a few days, even just a few weeks, you can fall behind without even realizing it.